Adam Eve, she is a marvelous character, so marvelous that they made a separate episode on her, an episode of her life, the challenges she faced while growing up, and the powers she possesses. Today's video is going to be all about Adam Eve, the powers she has, and the possibilities of her power. You're going to be shocked to know the things she is capable of doing. Let's start off with her story. The birth story of Adam Eve is a bit tragic actually, because it all started off in a facility where Adam Eve was being created. By created, we mean she was a result of a lab experiment by Dr. Elias Brandyworth. He experimented on Adam Eve's mother, Polly, in order to make a baby with unbelievable superpowers that can change the world. So something like this has to be put in good hands, right? Well, it was all at risk at first. And this risk was Steven Erickson, a government agent who is thinking of turning this baby into a weapon capable of transmuting anything. And transmuting, if you don't know, means the changing of form of anything, like changing water into rock or rock into water. That's what transmuting is. It is literally the ability to change literally everything. Dr. Elias was forced to help Erickson, and Erickson didn't have very noble intentions, and Dr. Elias was very aware of it. Elias wanted to keep this baby away from him, and there were two reasons for this. First, he wasn't evil like Erickson, good, and second, he fell in love with Eve's mother while experimenting on her. That's interesting.
That was when I first realized you weren't just an experiment.
Anyways, the important thing is he loves her, so to save her, he took her to a hospital when the facility she was kept in was getting destroyed by the Lizard League. And by the way, what kind of name is Lizard League anyway? It's a crappy name! Anyways, they're in the hospital, and he operated on her all by himself. That's because the doctors were unable to do so. A surge of energy originated from Polly and destroyed the whole operation theater. He was able to save Eve, but he wasn't able to save Polly. At least that is what he thought at first. More on that later. Elias knew that Erickson would find the baby, and in order to avoid that from happening, he played a trick. At the hospital which this was happening, there was a couple there whose newborn was dead. Yeah, so Elias exchanged that baby with Eve without them knowing. Now Elias had the dead baby and that couple had Eve. Elias placed that dead baby alongside Polly to trick Erickson into believing that Eve was dead, or say the experiment failed. But Dr. Elias didn't stop there. He faked his death and he followed Eve from the beginning of her new life. He was there. He was there for her like a father, watching over her every step, and then he finally came out in front of her when she started using her powers. And that's because he did not want her to get tracked by Erickson. Now, you do remember Polly, right? She was considered dead, but here's the twist. She wasn't. This sicko Erickson used Polly as a prime subject for his experiments even after she was almost dead from the operation at the hospital.
No.
Polly was alive, but she was in a miserable condition, in some sort of a machine. And what Erickson wished to do with Polly was to create another Eve, yeah, and in the process, he created Eve's brothers. And things don't end there. He sent those brothers to kill Eve. Like, how twisted and sick is that?
I wish everything was different for us.
After Eve went through this, she came to know that her mother was alive and Polly was her real mother. And the heartbreaking thing about this was that before she could celebrate her mother being alive, Polly was instantly killed by Erickson. Dr. Elias was also killed by him soon after this. Eve was shattered because she discovered that Dr. Elias had feelings for her mother and regarded Eve as a daughter figure, similarly caring for her. And boy oh boy, this made Eve pissed.
You murdered my whole family!
Guess what she did? She did not kill them even after all of this. What a great hero she is. Instead of killing them, she orders them to forget her.
I am Samantha Eve Wilkins, and I defy you to even remember who I am!
Now I know you guys are thinking about how did that even work? How can she just make them forget anything? Well, remember what we told you is that she can do transmuting, right? Well, it turns out that she can do anything with molecules. She can change them, transform them, and do anything with them. And the fun fact about molecules is that they're like tiny building blocks that literally make up everything inside of us. And these molecules help cells function, grow, and communicate with each other, which also means that changing the molecules will change who you are. So Eve, aka Samantha, changed the molecules in Erickson's brain, and he forgot everything.
Where am I?
What a turnaround that was! And speaking of molecules, let's talk about the powers of Adam Eve and all the crazy stuff that she can do. Adam Eve is one superpowered lady. Her abilities are off the charts, and she can do a whole lot of things that can really shake up the world. She can manipulate matter on the molecular level. That means she can make anything out of thin air. Literally anything. Imagine it. She could create stuff from nothing. Need a new building? Boom! Here you go. She can make it. Hungry? No worries. She can whip up some really tasty grub, you hope, right then and there. Eve's powers is like having a cosmic super belt that can craft whatever she imagines. It's like having the ultimate DIY power on steroids, but that's exactly how she made herself a wonderful treehouse for herself in a few seconds. And I love tree houses. Oh, you're asking about the possibilities of her power? Well, they're endless. Just like the stars, she could solve hunger by creating food out of nowhere. Imagine what could change the world. People wouldn't have to worry about starving anymore. She could also help rebuild cities after disasters in a blink of an eye, which she actually did, by the way, after a fight between Mark and his father, which destroyed a whole city. Yeah, that happened. And on top of that, even natural disasters, they wouldn't be all that scary because she could fix things up in a jiffy. Eve's powers could change everything on a monumental scale. Think about it, you need energy, she can make it. Need clean water, she's got you covered. There would be no need for factories polluting the air if she could conjure up clean stuff whenever we wanted. And she can make the world a cleaner, healthy place just by using her powers for good. She can even make a society for poor people to live in. We know every superhero has its weakness, right? And we know Eve's powers in theory are incredible, but she does actually have limits. She can't create anything too complex. Making simple things like food and basic structures, easy peasy, but creating intricate stuff like super high-tech gadgets or super detailed things, that's a little tougher for her, and her powers do have a cost. Think of it like running a marathon. Using her abilities drains her energy, and if she pushes too hard, she gets exhausted, just like anybody else. So she's got to be smart about when and how she uses her powers. Plus, she could mess things up really badly. Playing around with molecules is not exactly a safe thing. One wrong move and things could go haywire. Imagine if she tried to fix something and then said, whoopsie.
The whole lot was unstable. That's why the city never built there. It's a miracle nobody was killed.
Yeah, that'd be way more than just a oops. Eve could mess things up on a catastrophic level. And also, her powers don't help her become invulnerable. She's just as vulnerable as anybody else without her powers. So she's got to watch her back like any other hero. Now, the one place where Eve is different from every other superhero is her generosity and love towards others and her great sense of judgment. She is not the strongest superhero. Her powers don't exactly make her so, but the values that she has cannot be shocked by anything. Adam Eve is truly the real definition of a superhero. So while Adam Eve is amazing and her powers could totally change the world for better, she's got to be careful, because with great power comes responsibility and all that blah blah blah. But if she plays her cards right, she could be a game changer for the planet in such a great way. I even think that she's going to become one of the most powerful characters in Invincible. And guess what? I got an idea that you guys might want to know. And guess what? I have an inkling that you guys might just want to know who's the most powerful superhero in Invincible. Well, I got you covered. We came up with a list of superheroes ranked from least powerful to most powerful and a full breakdown of all of their powers, so stay tuned for that one. And I got another question for you. What do you think will happen when Eve's parents find out about who she really is? Let me know down in the comments below because I really want to know what you guys think.